Yes, this is me holding true to my word. This is part two of a conversation that I initiated earlier. I was not able to finish, and like I said, I didn't want to leave it on a not so good note to where you present all of the problems and point out what's wrong, but not providing any solutions. That's never the way to end a discussion. And so, um, like I was just saying, I kind of touched on that. If you think about our thought process and our minds, our brain operates as a projection system. So literally, we are creating movies in our head all day, and what we see on the inside is what's projected in our lives. Like I said, that's why now I understand why traditional visualization never really worked in the past for me and for a lot of people, because if you think about it, when you visualize, some people it may be a no-brainer and it may be more intuitive to where they immerse themselves to where they not only see but they experience what it is that they're seeing. But I know for a long time I felt like if I can just visually see it, and it was an image but it was static, there was not much sensory experience in it. And not only that, but I was looking at something versus immersing myself in it. And so it was looking towards something. It was always at a distance, or it was separate from myself, but I was not immersed in it. And so that's what changed, really started changing for me, is when I went from just seeing images in my head to what we would like in maybe just like a still image or a picture, to it was more so video, and to where I could see, touch, taste, feel, hear, I can experience it, and I can immerse myself in it as if I was there. So then it goes from being a still picture to more so of a video, or movie. And like I said, that's the visual aspect of what our brain and how we think. But we have a background soundtrack in the form of our self-talk, which we can't escape. So that's why you can mouth and echo certain things with your mouth, but your heart does not believe it, or it doesn't resonate, is because what you're saying on the outside and what the constant 24/7 conversation that's going on, they're not coherent, they're not in sync, so they don't match up. And the thing is that the self-talk on the inside is more habitual, it's more ingrained, and it loops, it's automatic loop. And so and it's been around longer than what you're trying to say verbally with your mouth. What you've been saying has been with you since you've been born, or since you've been, a kid. And so it's going to go more with the more established, more ingrained patterns and neural networks, because that is what established. That's how our brain works. It's like a closed system. That's why it fights you like hell when you're trying to introduce new ideas and concepts, because it sees that as foreign or as an invader, and its job is to protect. It's like a gate. So it's to keep whatever is on the inside, and to keep whatever is on the outside. So it's essentially just doing its job. What we have to do is learn how to leverage it so that we can work with it, how we are already naturally made, and leverage it to program ourselves how we want to program ourselves, as opposed to how we were programmed and how the world programs us, because it's always going to be contrary to what it is that you really want. And so when you merge the two, your self-talk and your visual images, you merge that too. What's the difference between what you see in your head and what we watch on the screen? As within is without. So that's where the whole concept of movies came from. And our brain is a projector. That's why, and I used to propagate and say the same thing too. I would say that this matrix is an illusion. And to a certain extent it is, but it's very offensive, because I know when I initially heard the idea, it was offensive to me, because you telling me that it's an illusion, but what the effects of, I feel, is very real. How can you tell a starving mother or a mother with starving kids that it's all an illusion? Or how can you tell someone that has experienced anything sensory real that it's an illusion when they can see, touch, taste, and smell it, and it feels very real, and it feels like it's never going to end. And so I think a better way to explain it is that it's a projection. Just like the saying goes, and is widely known, our beliefs or our perceptions shape our reality. So, in essence, in that understanding, what you're seeing and experiencing in life is real, but it's subjective. And so, it's a projection of your beliefs. It's a projection of your self-talk. It's a projection of how you see yourself. So if we were to change the projection, if we were to change the film, and if we were to change the soundtrack that plays in the back of our minds, then essentially we can change what we project. Then we will be able to change what it is that we see in the real world. But to say that reality is an illusion is a lie at worst, and a half not so true at best. It's just not true. It's a projection. And so when we understand that we are not at the mercy of it, even if we thought and felt that way before, with all of the knowledge and the information and the revelation that's coming forth, that's showing us that even though we didn't play a part or even a conscious role in the program and the scripts that and things that run in our brains, if we didn't play a part in it or we wasn't aware. Now, once you become an adult, and especially with the information that's coming forth, there's no excuse. We have to take authority, and we are responsible for what we do with our adult lives. And it's unfortunate, but it's nothing that we can do about the circumstances that got us to this point. And essentially, when we're talking about trauma and programs that were inserted, we have a bunch of 5, 6, and 7-year-olds, maybe 12, 13, 14-year-olds in adult bodies. That's how you know that we are not these avatars or flesh suit, because we are at whatever age we are, even 70, 80, 90-year-olds, but the mental programming that is there is that of a child, because that is where the growth was arrested and stunted, and that's the programming. That's the programming that was inserted, and people stop growing at that age, whatever age. And so, essentially, what I'm learning and what is helping me is meditation first and foremost. Yes, because that helps you to disconnect from the brain, the chatter, the program that's always running 24/7, and let you know that you are more than this body and your mind, but you are that observer of your thoughts. So whatever it is that can see your brain or see your thoughts but not identify with them, or knows that part of you that some call it spirit, some call it essence, some call it soul, whatever, but that aspect of us that we can't see but is the one that is experiencing life through this vessel, that's the one, that's who we truly are. That's our true identity, not this avatar, not this brain, which is artificial intelligence. It's been programmed, so we need to learn how to leverage it. So meditation definitely helps. Affirmations and things are not bad, but they have to go beneath the surface. The mind is a closed system. It's very difficult to introduce something. That's, like I was saying, as far as confrontation, confronting limiting beliefs. Confronting something does not mean that you have to be confrontational. And what that means is that you have to come in a way. If our self-talk is 99% negative, if it's 99% condemning, if it's 99% not what it is that we want it to be, if you notice, it's just natural human tendency to dwell on and magnify the negative. Or if things seem like they've been going too good or for too long, it's a natural expectation for us. It's natural for us to expect something bad to balance the scales if things have been going on for too long that we seem it's just too good to be true. It's more easier to accept criticism from others, and especially ourselves, than it is to receive just genuine praise or congratulations or sober evaluation of ourselves. It's much, much harder to accept the positive than it is the negative. So if that's the case, we have to learn how to reintroduce and change the script. So what that means is that, like I was saying earlier about self-love, with one of the definitions that I understand it to be, love being acceptance. So self-acceptance. That does not mean you give yourself pass to be a jerk, to just say this is the way I am, or to embrace your faults and your negativity without giving you the responsibility to grow. That's not what I'm saying. Self-acceptance is accepting yourself in its totality, the good aspects and the not so good aspects, everything that got you to this point, whether it was your fault or whether you were a victim of it. But it's observing yourself from a objective point of view. It's not placing the blame on everybody. It's more of a panoramic view and seeing everything for what it is. And it's also knowing that though you may have been a victim of certain things, that overall our disposition is not that of a victim, but that now that we know, we have authority and we have a responsibility to change. We are not our mistakes. We're not what happened to us. And even the residue and the trauma that we have been left with, that we can, and it is our responsibility to transcend it and to do better. So we have to learn how to speak kindly to ourselves, to reprogram ourselves. I think it's in Isaiah chapter 40 where he said, that God spoke through him and said, to go to my people Jerusalem and speak kindly to her. Let her know that her sins and her iniquity and her warfare, it's over. That's what, when you think about the mind is a battlefield, and we are constantly at war. It's not even so much what happens on the outside. We're at war with ourselves 24 hours a day. We're at war, so you have to speak kindly to yourself. Have to accept. Like I said, acceptance is a big thing. Being able to see things objectively and not place blame, not see yourself as a victim, but see yourself as one who has the authority and the ability to change and to reverse engineer and leverage things for your good, even if they were not so good. So we have to change what we say to ourselves. One thing that I am learning is that when you're trying to confront old limiting patterns, negative self-talk, and negative images, you have to do it in a kind way, but you have to do it in a more shrewd way. If the mind is a closed system, it's going to be very hard to approach it and tell it a new program that is counter to what it's used to. So the way to open up the mind is to ask questions. It's a book by Noah St. John called Affirmations, not affirmations with the I, but Affirmations with the O. And what he was saying basically, essentially, is that our mind is like one big Google search engine, and that when we ask questions, it is designed as a search engine to seek out the answer to that and to satisfaction and fulfillment. And so one way, and a major way that I'm learning and that has really helped me, is to learn how to ask myself questions, new questions for a different perspective, to think of things in a different light, and to open up my mind to new information. Because again, a lot of the thoughts that we think on autopilot, if you really challenge them sober-mindedly, would we really say, if we wouldn't say, and a lot of the things that we say in our minds on autopilot, if we wouldn't say it to another person, well then why would I sober-mindedly speak to myself like that? So when you just, from a sober-minded perspective, just present certain questions in the right light, it'll all start to make sense from a sober mind. And so you can do it that way. And there are other methods that I'll continue to go on. But for right now, I just wanted to drop those few more nuggets. And this is obviously an ongoing dialogue and a conversation that we will be continuing. And the more that I learn, the more that I grow, the more that I implement and experience, I will definitely come back and share. Like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Peace.